Hare Ram, Ram Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Dandavat Pranams to all the devotees. Thank you all for joining in for our Bhagavad Gita study this morning, this afternoon, from various parts of India, various parts of the world. Thank you very much. Let's start with our prayers. Om Jnanatimidandasa Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Utapatakamelam Shri Gurun Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunathanvitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parijana Sahitam Shri Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakhanvitamscha Namom Vishnupadaya Krishna Preshthaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swami Niti Namine Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine Namo Mahavadanyaya Krishna Prema Pradhayate Krishnaya Krishna Chaitanya Namne Gauradushe Namaha पंचतत्वात्मकं कृष्णं भक्तरूपस्वरूपकं भक्तावतारं भक्ताख्यं नमामि भक्तशक्तिकं हे कृष्णा करुणा सिन्धो दीनबन्धो जगत्पते गोपेश गोपिकान्त राधाकान्त नमोस्तुते तप्तकाञ्चन गौरङ्गी राधे वृन्दावनेश्वरी वृषभानुसुते देवी प्रणमामि हरिप्रिये वाञ्छाकल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपासिन्धुभ्य एव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः। जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंदा श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौर भक्त वृंदा हरे कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्णा हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे गुरवे गौरचंद्राय राधिकाय तरालये कृष्णाय कृष्ण भक्ताय तद्भक्ताय नमो नमः। मूकं करोति वाचालं भङ्गुं लङ्घयते गिरिं यत्कृपातमहं वन्दे श्रीगुरुं दीनतारिणं परमानन्दमाधवं श्रीकृष्णचैतन्यमीश्वरं हरिः ओं तत्सत्। Hare Krishna. So thank you all for joining in. So today is 18th of April. So yesterday, many of you all joined for the Ram Katha that we meditated on the auspicious occasion of Ramanavami. Hope everyone had wonderful Ramanavami. And tomorrow is 19th. Tomorrow is the 75th Vyasa Puja Mahamahotsava as per the Tithi of His Holiness Srila Jayapataka Swami Srila Guru Maharaj. So we can prepare our consciousness. Those who are disciples, those who are well-wishers, those who are Siksha disciples, Diksha disciples, we can prepare our consciousness to become or to what can I say? We cannot. Yeah, in the morning also I was saying, we cannot ever qualify ourselves for receiving the mercy of Guru, but we can always be very sincere by chanting extra rounds, by hearing Bhagavad Gita, Bhagavatam, Chaitanya Charitamrita, more, etc. In this way, we try to please our gurus because that is their instruction to us. So when we follow their instructions, we please them, and when we please them, we get their mercy, and then by they're able to chant Hare Krishna more, we're able to hear Krishna Katha more, we're able to relish the pastimes of the Lord more, right? So in this way, we can prepare our consciousness for the most auspicious. Today is said to be Adivas. The day before the occasion is always celebrated as Adivas, right? So today is the Adivas Tithi of His Holiness Jayapataka Swami Guru Maharaja's Platinum Vyasa Puja ceremony, 75th. So thank you very much for joining in. Let's quickly go ahead with Bhagavad Gita. It's been a while since we've done Bhagavad Gita. So let's jump into Bhagavad Gita. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Hare Krishna. So we are on chapter number 7. This chapter is entitled Knowledge of the Absolute. Like we've been saying, we are studying it today. So this is the crest jewel of the Bhagavad Gita. Like the first 6 chapters are said to be the uppermost, the upper case of the lid or the upper lid of this case that is containing the Bhagavad Gita, and the lower case or the lower lid is said to be 13 to 18. So the jewel of the Bhagavad Gita, the jewel of the instructions of Lord Krishna to Arjuna and through Arjuna to all of us is the middle 6 chapters of the Bhagavad Gita, which starts from chapter number 7, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. That is a crest jewel of Bhagavad Gita, which talks about Bhakti Yoga. 1 to 6 primarily deals with Karma Yoga, little bit of Sankhya Yoga in the second chapter, and then 13 to 18 is more Jnana Yoga, in that sense, Kshetrajna, Kshetra, and all of that. So the middle 6 chapters is what like the jewel that needs to be continuously and constantly kept in mind. That is why we see 9.34 again. Krishna repeats that verse in the 18th chapter. So that the crest jewel or the essence, it does not go away when the remaining Jnana Yoga chapters come. And finally, in the 18th chapter, again Krishna gives the same instruction. Manmana bhava mad bhakto madhyaji mam namaskuru mame vaishyachi satyam te pratijani priyosime. Right? Always think of me, become my devotee, offer your obeisances unto me, worship me, and in this way you will come back to me without fail. Right? So what is all of this? All of this is, remembering the Lord, worshipping the Lord is Nava Angas of Bhakti, which is nothing but devotional service. So today we're going to embark upon the proper devotional service as explained by Krishna to Arjuna. So how much of it through Prabhupada's purpose we can implement in our life, to that extent we will advance in devotional service and we become dear to Lord Shri Krishna. So with that, let's quickly jump into chapter number 7, entitled Knowledge of the Absolute. So devotees can raise your hands and we can read. Let me start. Shri Bhagavan Vacha Maya Saktamanaha Partha Yogam Yunjan Madashrayah Asamshayam Samagram Mam Yata Jnashyasi Tachrunu. Very important, right? The first verse, actually Krishna himself says, Shrunu, right? That's how our spiritual life begins. Our spiritual life begins by hearing Tachrunu. Synonyms or whatever translation. Okay, Karpakavalli Mataji, go ahead. Please read. You can read the verse again and then you will read the synonyms.
Thank you, Mataji. Shri Bhagavan Vacha Maya Ashtaka Manna Prata Yogam Yunjan Mat Ashraya Asamshayam Samagraham Mam Yada Nyanyasi Tachrunu. Synonyms. Shri Bhagavan Vacha, the Supreme Lord said, Maya, to me, Ashtaka Mana, mind attached, Partha, O son of Partha, Yogam, self-realization.
Pritha is another name of Kunti. So that's why he got the name Partha. Yeah.
Son of Pritha. Yogam, self-realization. Yunjan, practicing. Mat Ashraya, in consciousness of me. Krishna consciousness. Asamshayam, without doubt. Samagraham, completely. Ma, me. Yata, how. Nyanyasi, you can know. That Shrunu, try to hear. Translation Prabhupada Kije. The Supreme Lord, the Supreme Personality of Godhead said, now hear, O son of Pritha, how by practicing yoga in full consciousness of me, with mind attached to me, you can know me in full, free from doubt. Purport, in the 7th chapter of Bhagavad Gita, the nature of Krishna consciousness is fully described. Krishna is full in all opulences, and how he manifests such opulences described herein. Also, 4 kinds of fortunate people who become attached to Krishna, and 4 kinds of unfortunate people. In the first six okay, Mataji. In the first 6 chapters of Gita, the living entity has been described in non-material spirit soul, capable of elevating himself to self-realization with different types of yogas. At the end of 6th chapter, it has been clearly stated that the steady concentration of the mind upon Krishna, or in other words, Krishna consciousness, is the highest form of all yoga. By concentrating one's mind on Krishna, upon Krishna, one is able to know the absolute truth completely, but not otherwise. Impersonal Brahma Jyotir or localized Paramatma realization is not perfect knowledge of the absolute truth, because it is partial. Full and scientific knowledge of Krishna, and everything is revealed to the person in Krishna consciousness. In complete Krishna consciousness, one knows that Krishna is ultimate knowledge beyond any doubts. Different types of yoga are only stepstones on the path of Krishna consciousness. One who takes directly to Krishna consciousness automatically knows about Brahma Jyoti and Paramatma in full. By practice of Krishna consciousness, Krishna yoga, one can know everything in full, namely the absolute truth, the living entities, the material nature, and their manifestations with paraphernalia. One should therefore begin yoga practice as directed in the last verse of the 6th chapter. Concentration of the mind upon Krishna, the Supreme, is made possible by prescribed devotional service in 9 different forms, of which Shravanam is the first and most important. The Lord therefore says to Arjuna, Tatshanu, or hear from me. No one can be greater authority than Krishna, and therefore by hearing from him, one receives the greatest opportunity to become a perfectly Krishna conscious person. One has therefore to learn from Krishna directly or from pure devotee of Krishna, and not from a non-devotee upstart puffed up with academic education. In the Srimad Bhagavatam, this process of understanding Krishna, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, the Absolute Truth, is described in 2nd chapter of 1st canto as follows. Mataji, you're in Shana.
शृण्वतां स्वकथा कृष्णा पुण्यश्रवणकीर्तना हृदयन्तस्तो हि अभद्राणि विधूनोति सुहृत्सता नष्टप्रायेषु भद्रेषु नित्यं भागवत सेवया भगवती उत्तमश्लोके भक्तिर्भवति नैष्टिकी तडारजस्तमो भाव कामलोभाधयश्च ये चेतितैरनाविद्धं स्थितं सत्त्वे प्रसीदति एवं प्रसन्न मनसो भगवद्भक्तियोगतः भगवतत्त्वविज्ञानं मुक्तसङ्गस्य जायते भीद्यते हृदयग्रन्थिश्छिद्यन्ते सर्वसंशयाः क्षीयन्ते चास्य कर्माणि दृष्ट एवात्मनीश्वरे. Actually, these verses are part of Markini Bhagavata. Actually, this song written by Prabhupada in Jaladuta, and as he was going to the Western world in the cargo ship Jaladuta, where you wrote Markini Bhagavata, Guru Kripa Koile Krishna Adha Mera Prati Kilagiya Nileheta Koro Eve Gati. So when he was writing this, expressing his helplessness, oh Krishna, why are you taking me to the Western world? Who will listen to me? Who will be interested in your message? So in that song where he's expressing his helplessness, he actually quotes some of these Bhagavatam shlokas. These are, that is why I sang in a different meter, because this is like a song, where these verses are part of that particular song. Right? So let's hear the meaning of these verses. Very, very profound. This also helps us understand the mood of Srila Prabhupada. Right? How he considered Bhagavatam as a solution to all of the problems. Right? He did not know. He tells, I don't know whether to learn left or right. Where am I going? Right? With 40 rupees at the age of 70, with just Srimad Bhagavatam first canto, Prabhupada has ventured into territories, into crossing the ocean and going somewhere he's never gone before. Right? So let's see the mood of Prabhupada. Yes, Mataji, go ahead.
To hear about Krishna from Vedic literatures or to hear from him directly through Bhagavad Gita is itself righteous activity. And for one who hears about Krishna, Lord Krishna, who is dwelling in everyone's heart, acts as a best wishing friend and purifies the devotee who constantly engages in hearing of him. In this way, a devotee naturally develops his dormant transcendental knowledge. As he hears more about Krishna from the Bhagavatam and from the devotees, he becomes fixed in the devotional service of the Lord. By development of devotional service, one becomes freed from the modes of passion and ignorance, and thus material lust and avarice is diminished. When these impurities are wiped away, the candidate remains steady in his position of pure goodness, becomes enlived by devotional service, and understands the signs of God perfectly. Thus, Bhakti Yoga severs the hard knot of material affection and enables one to come at once to the stage of Asamshayam Samagraham. Asamshayam Samagraham. Understanding of the supreme absolute truth personality of Godhead. Bhagavad 1.2.17 to 21. Therefore, only by hearing from Krishna or from his devotee in Krishna conscious, one can understand the signs of Krishna. Thank you, Mataji. Dandatna. Cannot hear Mataji.
So, Hare Krishna. So, sorry, I was on mute. So, I was just telling we should keep our own copy of Bhagavad Gita open when we are reading. Why? Because we can make note of, highlight important points, make note of important points, right? Because very, very important sections these are. We should highlight the purport, right? So, one who hears about Krishna understands that Krishna is there in my heart, right? And Prabhupada also talks about the last verse of the 6th chapter. Which is kind of a concluding verse by Krishna saying what is the best kind of yoga, right? And that is a kind of yoga which he starts explaining from chapter number 7. So in 6.47, what does Krishna say? Krishna says, what does Krishna say? Yoginam api sarvesham madgaten antaratmana shraddhavan bhajate yomam sami yukta tamomataha. Shraddhavan, with faith. What are we supposed to do? We are supposed to bhajate. Bhajate means you are supposed to worship the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And then what happens? Chidyante hridaya granthesh. Hridaya granthesh means the knots of the heart. What are the knots of the heart? These are all the knots of material attachments, material desires, right? What happens to these knots? They get cut. And one leads one to the stage of asamshayam samagram. What is asamshayam samagram? Asamshayam means without a doubt. What stage one reaches? Samagram means one understands the complete Supreme Personality of Godhead. That means a Bhagavan realization happens to a person who renders faith, who renders service, devotional service with faith. Right? And it all starts with what? Shrinvatam Swakata Krishna. The hearing activity by in itself is purifying. In itself is a punya. Punya means it's a pious activity. Punya Shravana Kirtana. And what happens? Hridayantasto hi abhadrani. Abhadra. Abhadra means all the inauspicious things that are there in the heart. Right? Kama, Krodha, Lobha, Moha, Mada, Matsarya. All of these abhadras. Right? What happens to them? Vidunoti Suhrit Sadam. Right? They're all cut and they're all removed from the root of the root in the heart. And then Nashta Prayeshu Abhadreshu Nityam Bhagavata Sevya. Again, we are talking about Abhadra. Again and again, these verses stress about giving up those qualities which are not favorable for devotional service. All of those qualities, whether or not they are materially pious qualities, does not matter. But they are abhadras because they don't help us advance in devotional service. Bhadra means auspicious. Bhadra means it's inauspicious for our advancing in spiritual life. And how do they get nashta? How do they get destroyed? By Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya. When we study Bhagavatam every day, this is one instruction that Prabhupada is given, that every day there has to be Bhagavata Shravana. And what happens? Bhagavati Uttama Shloke Bhaktir Bhavati Naishtaki. Right? It will establish bhakti in our heart as an irrevocable fact. And the Acharyas explain, Nityam Bhagavata Sevya refers to two kinds of Bhagavatas. One is the book Bhagavata. Of course, we are studying Bhagavatam. And second is to serve a pure devotee. He is also considered a Bhagavata. Bhagavata is the book Bhagavata and a person who lives according to the Bhagavatam principles. Right? When we serve such a devotee who is a Bhagavata in person, and he also studied the book Bhagavata, especially with Prabhupada's purports. Right? We are serving Prabhupada. When we are actually studying the book Bhagavat, we are serving the person Bhagavat who is Srila Prabhupada. So in addition to that, we should also serve Bhagavatas. Whenever there is an opportunity to serve, say our Guru Maharaj is coming, or we have the opportunity to serve devotees, or we have the opportunity to serve our Siksha Gurus, we have to take up these opportunities with both our hands, right? And then we have to utilize those opportunities and never miss an opportunity to serve those devotees who inspire us in devotional service, because it is only by their blessings that we can practice devotional service. Otherwise, it is not possible for us to practice devotional service, right? And then what happens to us? Right? What happens slowly? We cut the knots of passion, ignorance, and even sattva guna, which bind us to this material world, and then our heart becomes prasanna. Evam prasanna manaso bhagavad bhakti yogataha. Right? And then in this way, our heart will develop the taste to perform devotional service, and vridyate hridaya granthis chidyante sarva samshaya. Chidyante means cut. All these knots that tie us to this material world, they are all cut. And then finally, drishta evat manishware. Drishta means to see, right? To see the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Asamshayam samagram. Right? And all of this begins by what? Shravanam. Only by hearing about Krishna from a devotee of Krishna. Only then we will be able to understand the science of Krishna. Right? Shravanam, Kirtanam, Vishnu Smaranam, Archanam, Vandanam, Dasyam, Sakyam, Atmanivedanam. Atmanivedanam is possible only when we start the process by Shravanam. Right? All right. Let's move on to text number 2. Okay. Rajneesh Prabhu, please go ahead. Oh, sorry. Sridhar Prabhu. Go ahead. Rajneesh Prabhu can read next. After that, Sindhu Mataji. Yes.
Hare Krishna, Dandot Pranam Mataji. Jnanam deham savidhyanam idam vakshyama seshadaha yajyatva neya bhuyat yajyatavya mavasishyate. Jnanam, phenomenal knowledge. Unto you, I, sa, with, vijnanam, numerous knowledge, idam, this, vashyami, shall explain, asishyade, in full, yet, which, jnatva, knowing, not, iha, in this world, bhayua, further, anyot, anything more, jnanavyam, knowable, avishyate, remind. Hare Krishna, Dandot Pranam. Translation. I shall now declare unto you in full this knowledge, both phenomenal and numerous. This being known, nothing further shall remain for you to know. Hare Krishna. Purport. Complete knowledge includes knowledge of the phenomenal world, the spirit behind it, and the source of both of them. The transcendental knowledge, the Lord wants to explain above mentioned system of knowledge because Arjuna is Krishna's confidential devotee and friend. In the beginning of the 4th chapter, this explanation was given by the Lord, and it is again confirmed here. Complete knowledge can be achieved only by the devotee of the Lord in disciplinic succession directly from the Lord. Therefore, one should be intelligent enough to know the source of all knowledge, who is cause of all causes, and the only object for meditation in all type of yoga practice. When the cause of all causes become known, then everything knowable becomes known, and nothing remains unknown. The Vedas, Yasmin Vidyayate Sarvam Eva Vidyadam Bhavati.
Yeah, correct. Yeah, thank you. So when the cause of Hare Krishna, thank you. When the cause of all causes becomes known, then everything becomes knowable, becomes known, and nothing remains unknown, right? So what is jnana? Jnana means not to have all the knowledge of this material world, how to earn a lot of money, how to get a 4 BHK house, how to get a Mercedes-Benz car. That is not the knowledge. That is not real knowledge. Why? Because even if we get all of that, is it going to give us eternal satisfaction? Is it going to give us eternal bliss? No, it is not. It is not going to give us bliss. It is going to probably give us a temporary happiness that we've achieved something. But like we said, every sense object, to the extent it gives us pleasure, it has the potential to give us pain. Right? A scratch on the Mercedes-Benz will become like a scratch in the heart. Right? What is the use of such kind of attachment? Right? At the extent to which you were happy when you got the new Mercedes car, that to that extent or even higher suffering it can give us, right? When there is an accident, something the car, even if all the passengers or the people who are going in the car, they all escape unscathed. Even the car, there's some big damage and you have to pay some money to repair the car. We are suffering, right? That means what? That the car which gave us so much pleasure is giving us so much more misery. Right? So is it really worth it? Right? I'm not saying we should not aspire to have a Mercedes-Benz car, but I'm saying we should not be attached to it. We should not consider that as the end all or be all of all our endeavors. Right? If you have the means or the resources to buy a car and utilize it in Krishna's service. We devotees utilize it when sannyasis come. They travel, take them to the airport, drop them back in the temple, etc., etc. We can utilize everything in the service of the Lord. We are not saying we should not have big cars, right? If it gives us the comfort and we are sure we'll engage in devotional service, it most welcome. But we should not be attached to it, right? That is what is Yukta Vairagya, right? Anashakyasya Vishayan Yatharam Upayunjatah Nirbandha Krishna Sambandhe Yukta Vairagyam Uchyate. Anashakyasya Vishayan. You should not be attached to material objects, knowing very well that everything in this world is perishable, knowing very well that whatever we have today, we may not have it the next second also. Like in Dubai, I heard a lot of floods are happening, and people are having so much of difficulty commuting from home to office and vice versa. Right? So, the entire car may get drowned, and that time a person should have the intelligence, right? Should they just leave the car and, protect ourselves, right? There's so much, like His Grace Radheshyam Prabhu was also mentioning in a class that, a person was flying, with a lot of passengers on the flight. And then, there was an alarm that, you have to immediately take the parachute and jump because of, there's some technical problems in the plane. And one or two passengers were trying to take their own things, they did not want to immediately jump because they had some important things which they had to pick up. And because of that, so many people lost their lives, right? Just because of some, closed mental, behavior of some people, they don't know what is the damage you're causing, right? So many lives are getting lost because some people are so much materially attached, right? So in this way, we should know what is important in life, right? It is okay, we don't over endeavor, but we do our regular endeavor, and whatever benefits we get, utilize it in the service of the Lord, but we are not attached. Anashakyasya Vishayan Yatharam Upayunjatah. Utilize everything in the service of Krishna. And when we utilize everything in the service of Krishna, then we will not be attached. When we are utilizing it for our sense gratification, then only we get more and more attached, right? Yatharam Upayunjatah Nirbandha Krishna Sambandhe Yukta Vairagyam Uchyate. We are not attached to it for personal sense gratification, but we are utilizing it only for the service of the Lord. Irrespective of whether that object is available with us next moment or later on, we are going to continue to engage in the service of the Lord with whatever is available. It is not that only that object is available, I can serve the Lord. Right? The Lord does not say. Lord says, Patram Pushpam Phalam Toyam Yome Bhaktya Prayachati. That does not mean that we have nice paneer, pastas and pizzas made and we offer only flower and fruit to the Lord. And then the other things we eat. No. But if you are able to make something better, we have to offer the best to the Lord. Right? At the same time, we don't have anything and we are only going to have water for the day. That water we have to offer to Krishna and have that as prasadam. That's what it means, right? Because Krishna knows how much we have, how much we possess, because Krishna only has given us, right? And then when Krishna knows that, okay, this person is utilizing everything and will utilize everything in my service, Krishna will give everything. Krishna will give whatever, yoga kshema vahamyaham. Krishna will provide whatever we need to perform devotional service, right? Like that. So when we understand who is the cause of all causes, and we understand that when we serve the Lord, all of our desires also will be fulfilled, then there is nothing else that remains to be known. But if you don't know this one thing, even if we have all the knowledge of the 700 verses of the Bhagavad Gita, 18,000 verses of the Bhagavatam, or all the verses of Chaitanya Charitamrita, then it is no use. Why? Because have we been able to implement at least one verse of the Bhagavad Gita in our life, and we take that as our life and soul, right? Whatever I eat, I will offer to Krishna and have only Krishna prasadam. This one verse of Bhagavad Gita, Patram Pushpam Phalam Toyam Yome Bhaktya Prayachati. I offer to Krishna with love and eat only Krishna prasadam. Even if this one verse we live by, and we don't know any other verse, we don't know any verse by heart, it is okay. As long as we understand the purport given by Prabhupada and live our life according to it, that is the perfection of life. Yeah. All right, let's move forward. Text number 3. Okay, Rajneesh Prabhu, go ahead. Manushyanam sahasreshu kaschid yatati siddhaye yatatam abhisiddhanam kaschin mam veti tatvatah. Yes, Prabhu. Prabhu, you're not audible, Prabhu. Yes, okay, go ahead.
Okay, Sinonians, Manushyanam of men, Sasresu of the many thousands, Kasit someone, Yatati endeavors, Siddhe for perfection, Yatatmam of those so endeavoring. Happy indeed, Siddhartham of those who have achieved perfection, Kasit someone, Mam me, Veti does know, Tatava in fact. Translation: out of many thousands among men, one may endeavor for perfection, and of those who have achieved perfection, hardly one knows me in truth. Purport. There are various grades of men, and out of many thousands, one may be sufficiently interested in transcendental transcendental realization to try to know what is the self and what is the body and what is the absolute truth. Generally, mankind is simply engaged in the animal propensities, namely eating, sleeping, defending, and mating, and hardly anyone is interested in transcendental knowledge. The first 6 chapters of Gita are meant for those who are interested in transcendental knowledge. In understanding the self, the in understanding the self, the super
Super
self,
self.
and the process of realization by Jnana Yoga,
Jnana Yoga.
Dhyan Yoga, and consciousness.
And
Other,
discrimination. And discrimination of the self from matter.
And discrimination of the self from matter. However, Krishna can be known only by the person who are in Krishna consciousness. Other transcendentalists may achieve impersonal Brahman realization. For this is easier than understanding Krishna. Krishna is the supreme person, but at the same time he is beyond the knowledge of Brahman and Paramatma. The yogis and
Jnanis.
Jnanis are confused in their attempts to understand Krishna, although the greatest of the impersonalities, Shripad Shankaracharya, has admitted in his Gita commentary that Krishna is the supreme personality of Godhead. His followers don't accept Krishna as such, for it is very difficult to know Krishna, even though one has transcendental realization of impersonal Brahman. Krishna is the supreme personality of Godhead, the cause of all causes, the primeval Lord Govinda. Ishvara Paramah Krishna.
Satchidananda Vigraha. Anadir Adir Govindaha.
Adir Govindaha Sarva
Sarvakarana Karanam.
Karanaha. It is very difficult for the non-devotees to know him. Although non-devotees declare that the path of bhakti or devotional service is very easy, they cannot practice it. If the path of bhakti is so easy as the non-devotees class of men proclaim, then why do they take up difficult path? Actually, the path of bhakti is not easy. The so-called path of bhakti, practiced by unauthorized persons without knowledge of bhakti, may be easy, but when it is practiced factually according to the rules and regulations, the speculative scholars and philosophers fall away from the path. Srila Rup Goswami writes in the Bhakti Rasamrit Sindhu 1.2.101. Shruti Samriti
Smriti Puranadi Pancharatra Vidhim Vina Aikantaki Harer Bhaktir Utpatai Aiva Kalpate.
devotional service of the Lord that ignores the authorized Vedic literature. Madam, it is not clear. Devotional service of the Lord that ignores the authorized Vedic literature like the Upanishads, Puranas, and Narada Pancharatra is simply an unnecessary disturbance in society. It is not possible for the Brahman realized impersonalist or Paramatma realized yogi to understand Krishna, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, as the son of Mother Yashoda or the charioteer of Arjuna. Even the great demigods are sometimes confused about Krishna. Muhyanti yat suryaha. Mam tu veda na paskana. No one knows me as I am. The Lord says, and if one does know him, then sa Mahatma su durlabha. Such a great soul is very rare. Therefore, unless one practices devotional service to the Lord, one cannot know Krishna as he is Tattvaha. Even though one is great scholar or philosopher, only the pure devotees can know something of inconceivable, transcendental qualities of Krishna, his being the cause of all causes, his omnipotence and affluence, and his wealth, fame, strength, beauty, knowledge, and renunciation, because Krishna is benevolently inclined to his devotees. He is the last word in Brahman realization, and the devotees alone can realize him as he is. Therefore, it is said,
अतः श्रीकृष्णनामादि न भवेत् ग्राह्यमिन्द्रियैः सेवोन्मुखे हि जीवादो स्वयम् एव स्फुरति अधः.
No one can understand Krishna as he is by and blunt material senses, but he reveals himself to the devotees, being pleased with them for their transcendental loving service unto him. Bhakti Rasamrit Sindhu 1.2.234. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Thank you so much, Prabhu. Very wonderful purport by Prabhupada. Very beautifully, Prabhupada actually explains, what should be our mood, right? And how can we understand Krishna, the Supreme Personality of Godhead? No amount of personal endeavor, no amount of mental speculation, no amount of our philosophical speculation or our material intelligence can make us understand the Supreme Personality of Godhead. At least we cannot understand the Bhagavan feature, right? Maybe we can understand that impersonal Brahman, the effulgence is the greatest. Some people think Paramatma feature is the greatest, right? In all those cases, we understand only the partial understanding of the Supreme Lord, right? Either the Sat aspect or the Chit aspect or the Sat and the Chit aspect, but we cannot understand the Ananda aspect of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. It can only be given to us by a devotee, who has understood Krishna, or it can be given by Krishna himself through his pure devotees, right? That is why Muyanti Yat Suraya, even the demigods, right? It comes in 1.1.1 of Bhagavatam, right? Tejo Vari Mridam Yata Vinayo Yatyat Sri Sangom Risha, right? Nam Shvena Yada Nirashtakokam Satyam Param Dhimahi. That Supreme Absolute Personality of Godhead, he actually puts even the demigods into illusion, right? So, what to speak of? What to speak of conditioned souls, right? Even the demigods are supposed to have perfected their lives, and that is why they are given such administrative positions, right? A leader of the class, like for example, if you go to a school,
अरे वो कल
The leader of a class is generally a student who is very, very good in the academics, right? So that person is given additional responsibilities, right? Not only is to ensure that his homework is done, but that student also has to check whether everybody else has done their homework, collects the notebooks, gives it to the teacher. The teacher corrects, he distributes, because that person can do more than what is required for himself only. There are some students who can only take care of their work, and some people require help even in that, right? So each of us are in different levels, where sometimes we need help for practicing our own Krishna consciousness. Sometimes we are a little bit evolved, a little bit practiced Krishna consciousness, that we are able to practice on our own. Wherever we have doubts and inquiries, we ask. Sometimes we become a little more advanced, where we are able to help, one or two people, a little bit, a little few of our friends. And sometimes we become more, practiced in Krishna consciousness, that we are able to help a group of people, a lot of people. So like that, right? So as we progress in Krishna consciousness, our responsibility increases. That means our service to our Guru, our service to Srila Prabhupada, they all increase. Why? Because it is only by their mercy that we're able to practice. It is their mercy that we're able to preach. It is all by the mercy of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. The more we understand Krishna as the Supreme Personality of Godhead, the more we're able to practice austerities in service of the Lord. And I'm not talking about austerities which are for gaining something material, right? Those are not coming here. Austerities here means what is prescribed in the Vedas, in the scriptures, for advancing in devotional service. Like we fasted till noon for Ram Navami. Tomorrow we'll be fasting. Those disciples of Jayapatak Maharaj will be fasting till noon. And then all of us will be fasting for Ekadashi tomorrow, isn't it? So in this way, these are the austerities that we perform because it is mentioned in the scriptures. That's one. Secondly, they help us advance in devotional service. Otherwise, we are not interested simply in practicing austerities. All of our sarve vidi nishedhyashor etayor eva kinkaraha, all of the rules and regulations that we follow should have these two important principles. That should be the objective. What is that? Smartavya satatam Vishnur vismartavyo na jatuchit. Right? We should always be able to remember Krishna, and we should never forget Krishna. These are the two important objectives of whatever we practice as devotional service, right? And we also understand that except for devotional service, Krishna will protect, it will actually hide himself, right? Krishna will not reveal himself to us, right? But then, how are we supposed to understand Krishna then? We cannot understand Krishna by the blunt material senses. Atha Shri Krishna Namadi na bhaved grahyam indriya. Grahya means to digest, to understand something, right? Na bhaved grahyam indriyahi. With our indriya, that means with our bodily senses, we cannot understand Krishna. If we can chant hundreds and thousands of times, but if we don't please our gurus, Krishna will not reveal himself to us. Right? Krishna reveals himself through his pure devotees. That is why we are doing devotional service. Every opportunity we want to do devotional service. So we want to please our gurus. And in this way, the gurus will reveal Krishna to us. And that is the way we can understand Atha Shri Krishna Nama Adi. The Nama, Rupa, Guna, Leela of Krishna cannot be understood by our mental speculation, by our sadhana. But when our endeavors please our gurus, then by their mercy, we will be able to understand the Nama, Rupa, Guna, Leela of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. That is why the next two lines, Rupa Goswami mentions, Sevon Mukehi Jivadav Swayam Eva Suratyadaha. Oh, my endeavor is of no use, let me not endeavor. No, that's not the point. We endeavor with the intention to please our gurus, please our Siksha gurus, our Diksha guru, then the Lord is pleased, and the Lord Swayam Eva Suratyadaha, the Lord will reveal himself into the hearts of those devotees who sincerely endeavor to please their spiritual masters. Yasya prasadat Bhagavat prasado, yasya prasadanna gati kutopi. If we please our gurus, Krishna will be pleased. If we don't please our gurus, we can never please Krishna. Okay, let's move forward. Text number 4. Sindhu Mataji, go ahead. Bhumirapo Nalovayu. Yes, Madhavi. Hare Krishna.
Mataji, text 4. Bhumirapo Nalovayu Kammano Buddhirevacha Ahankara iti yamme Binna Prakritirashtada. Bhumi, earth, Apaha, water, Analaha, fire, Vayuhu, air, Kam, ether, Mana, mind, Buddhi, intelligence, Eva, certainly, Cha, and Hankaraha, false ego, Iti, thus, Yam, all these, me, my, Binna, separated, Prakriti energies Ashtada eightfold. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Earth, water, fire, air, ether, mind, intelligence, and false ego. Altogether, these 8 constitute my separated material energies. Purport. Science of God analyzes the constitutional position of God and His divine energies. Material nature is called Prakriti, or the energy of the Lord in His different Purusha incarnations, expansions, as described in the Satvata Tantra. Vishnustu Trini Rupani Purushakyani Yato Viduhu Ekam To Mahata Shashte Dvitiyam Tva Andasham Stitam Tritiyam Sarva Bhutastam Tani Nyatva Vimuchyate. For material creation, Lord Krishna's planetary expansion assumes 3 Vishnus. The first one, Mahavishnu, creates the total material energy known as the Mahatattva. The second, Garbhodakshaya Vishnu, enters into all the universes to create diversities in each of them. The third, Kshirodakshaya Vishnu, is diffused as the all-pervading supersoul in all the universes and is known as Paramatma. He is present even within the atoms. Anyone who knows these 3 Vishnus can be liberated from the material entanglement. This material world is a temporary manifestation of one of the energies of the Lord. All the activities of the material world are directed by these 3 Vishnu expansions of Lord Krishna. These Purushas are called incarnations. Generally, one who does not know the signs of God, Krishna, assumes that this material world is for the enjoyment of the living entities and that the living entities are the Purushas, the causes, the controllers, and the enjoyers of the material energy. According to Bhagavad Gita, this atheistic conclusion is false. In the verse under discussion, it is stated that Krishna is the original cause of the material manifestation. Srimad Bhagavatam also confirms this. The ingredients of the material manifestation are separated energies of the Lord. Even the Brahmajyoti, which is the ultimate goal of the impersonalist, is a spiritual energy manifested in the spiritual sky. There are no spiritual diversities in the Brahmajyoti as there are in the Vaikuntha Lokas, and the impersonalist accepts this Brahmajyoti as the ultimate eternal goal. The Paramatma manifestation is also a temporary all-pervasive aspect of the Kshirodakshaya Vishnu. The Paramatma manifestation is not eternal in the spiritual world. Absolute truth is the Supreme Personality of Godhead Krishna. He is the complete energetic person and he possesses different separated and internal energies. In the material energy, the principal manifestations are 8, as above mentioned. Out of these, the first 5 manifestations, namely earth, water, fire, air, and sky, are called the 5 gigantic creations or the gross creations within which the 5 sense objects are included. They are the manifestations of physical sound, touch, form, taste, and smell. Material science comprises these 10 items and nothing more. But the other 3 items, namely mind, intelligence, and false ego, are neglected by the materialists. Philosophers who deal with mental activities are also not perfect in knowledge because they do not know the ultimate source, Krishna. The false ego, I am, and it is mine, which constitute the basic principle of material existence, includes 10 sense organs for material activities. Intelligence refers to the total material creation, called the Mahatattva. Therefore, from the 8 separated energies of the Lord are manifest the 24 elements of the material world, which are the subject matter of Sankhya atheistic philosophy. They are originally offshoots from Krishna's energies and are separated from him. But atheistic Sankhya philosophers with a poor fund of knowledge do not know Krishna as the cause of all the causes. The subject matter for discussion in the Sankhya philosophy is only the manifestation of the external energy of Krishna as it is described in the Bhagavad Gita.
Hare Krishna. So very, very interesting, right? How the gross body consisting of earth, water, fire, air, ether, the subtle body consisting of the mind, intelligence, and the false ego, right? Everything is provided by the Lord, right? There's nothing that we can claim to be our own, right? There's nothing that we can call our own, and then we are the controller of this, right? There is nothing that we have except that free will, right? Krishna does not interfere with our free will, right? If we want to do something, then if it depends on whether we have the karmic credit to enjoy that or not, but we have the free will to try to do whatever we want. But then when Krishna sees that we've surrendered to the Lord and want to do activities as per what he is instructed in the Bhagavad Gita and Bhagavatam, then we get the necessary intelligence. Krishna will give us the intelligence how to do. But first thing what we have to do is we have to desire, right? If we desire for sense gratification, then the entire material world has been created. All right, so that we can try to enjoy and get frustrated in our attempt. And having got frustrated, then we actually wonder, why there is no happiness in this world? What am I trying to achieve? And in that situation, we try to find out, why am I in such a deplorable condition? Why am I working so hard, yet I don't find peace? What is it that can give me peace? Those questions come up. And that marks the beginning of devotional service. And then, and then we come across a person who's actually giving us the answers, right? Our basis, Prabhupada's books, somebody gives us gives us Prabhupada's books, or somebody, there is association of a devotee. Because of that, our process of understanding the Supreme Personality of Godhead starts. And then we understand the three Purushas, Karanakashaya Vishnu, the Garbhodakashaya Vishnu, the Kshirodakashaya Vishnu, how this material world is created, how this material world is a place for reformation and punishment. It is not a place for enjoyment. It is a prison house. It is a hospital. We're supposed to get treated here, and we have to try to get out of here, not make plans for permanent settlement here. That is what most of us do. And that is why we are frustrated. Right? In the prison house, just because some are having, because of their previous karmic credit, they may have, an AC room in the prison house, but every day morning they have to go out and break the stones, and some of them have to go and sleep in the hot sun, and some of them have cells which are AC. But both of them are temporary conditions which is going to worsen with time, right? And if the person does not come out of the jail, then the whole life he is going to spend in the jail thinking that, oh, I'm in an AC room, but I'm breaking the stones. And then what happens? The consciousness is only that much, right? But we want to at least get the understanding that I am in the prison house. I should not be looking forward to spending my time in this prison house and be born again here and again in this prison house. I should find a way by which I can get out of this prison house. I take the medicine and get out of this hospital, isn't it? A prison house makes us understand that I am suffering. And why is it compared to a hospital? We have a way to get cured of this material disease, right? So in this way, by understanding that this is a prison house and this is a hospital where I can get out of it, right? Then we take up the right path, or we take up the right actions that will enable us to get out of this material world, or this prison house, or this hospital, right? Will a person, just because, in Bhaktivedanta hospital, we have, a nice spiritual prasadam is there, everything will be served at the, hospital bed. Does it mean that somebody wants to stay in the hospital forever? I don't have to cook, I don't have to work. I'm hospital bed mein lete rahu. That means what? I will continue my disease condition because I have some facilities. That is foolishness, right? I don't take my medicine because I'm happy in this hospital bed, because I get food, I'm in a nice AC room, right? Because I have the money to pay for the, hospital bills. Will I remain? What about the pain that I'm undergoing? My body is undergoing pain. I'm gone to the hospital to get myself treated and come back home. But because I'm happy with the facilities there, everybody is roaming around me, giving me food at the right time and medicines. I'm not taking the medicines because I'm happy here, right? Because it gives me enjoyment, right? The AC room is there and all that. That is foolishness, isn't it? What we are supposed to be aiming at, right? I don't need AC, but I need good health so that I can come back home and do my work, isn't it? So every sane person, at least we will understand with this example that what is the kind of, the treatment that we are giving, right? We are so much polishing the cage, but we are not taking care of the needs of the soul, right? We are taking care so much of the comforts of the body, right? Am I getting good food? Am I getting good shelter? Am I getting good AC, especially in the heat? Sometimes we feel that, if you are in an AC room, that is real privilege. Yes, it is a real privilege. But in that AC room, what are we doing, right? Are we preparing ourselves to live in that AC room in this material world, life after life? Or are we preparing, okay, whatever facilities is there, I will enjoy, but then I will use it in the service of the Lord, but then I'm not attached to it, right? I want to get out of this. That should be our consciousness. And from there on, our path to go back home, back to Godhead starts, right? So I am not in the false ego. I don't have the false ego just because I'm able to pay the medical bills, right? There'll be a time, if I'm continuing to be in the hospital, there'll be a time when I cannot even pay the medical bills. And then, I'll be thrown out of the hospital. I will not be treated also. Why? Because the time that was given to me to utilize and get rid of this medical condition and become healthy, I did not use that time, right? The next 10,000 years is said to be the golden period. After that, things are going to become worse. Kali Yuga is already, manifesting its demonic nature. We can see this, COVID is coming, then the floods and this famine and this fire breaking out in all the places, right? Already Kali Yuga is showing the symptoms of what it is. And Kaler Doshe Nide Rajan, right? So we don't want to wait in this material world trying to enjoy what this material world has to offer us, but rather we want to get out of this material world and use every opportunity that we have. The first opportunity is the human form of life, right? Where we can understand why am I here, what should be my future destination. And in this way, we try to go back home, back to Godhead. All right, let's move forward. This last verse for today. Let's request Shobha Mataji to read text number 5.
Hare Krishna Mataji, Dandavat Pranam.
Hare Krishna, Dandavat Pranam. Yes.
Apareyam itasva anyam prakritim vidime param jivabodham mahabaho yayetam dharyate jagat. Synonyms and the translation by A.C. Bhaktivedanta Prabhupada, Srila Prabhupada Ki. Apara, inferior. Yam, this itaha, besides this too, but anyam, another prakritim, energy, vidhi. Just try to understand me, my param, superior, jiva bhutam, comprising the living entities. Mahabaho, O mighty armed one, yaya, by whom, itam, this, dhyate, is utilized or exploited, jagat, the material world. Translation. Besides these, O mighty armed Arjuna, there is another superior energy of mind, which comprises the living entities who are exploiting the resources of this material inferior nature. Purport by Srila Prabhupada. Here, it is clearly mentioned that living entities belong to the superior nature or energy of the Supreme Lord. The inferior energy is matter manifested in different elements, namely earth, water, fire, air, ether, mind, intelligence, and false ego. Both forms of material nature, namely gross, earth, etc., and subtle, mind, etc., are products of the inferior energy. The living entities who are exploiting these inferior energies for different purposes are the superior energy of the Supreme Lord. And it is due to this energy that the entire material world functions. The cosmic manifestation has no power to act unless it is moved by the superior energy, the living entity. Energies are always controlled by the energetic, and therefore the living entities are always controlled by the Lord. They have no independent existence. They are never equally powerful. As unintelligent men think, the distinction between the living entities and the Lord is described in Srimad Bhagavatam, 30th verse, 87th canto, 87th chapter, 10th canto as follows. Aparivita dhurvas tanubhrito yati sarvagathas tarhina shasyateti niyamo dhruva netarata yajani cha yanmayantat avigmukcho niyantra bhavet samam anujanantam yat amantam matastustataya. O Supreme Eternal, if the embodied living entities were eternal and all-pervading like you, then they would not be under your control. But if the living entities are accepted as minute energies of your lordship, then they are at once subject to your supreme control. Therefore, real liberation entails surrender by the living entities to your control, and that surrender will make them happy. In that constitutional position, only can they be controllers. Therefore, men with limited knowledge who advocate the monistic theory that God and the living entities are equal in all respects are actually guided by faulty and political opinion. The Supreme Lord Krishna is the only controller, and all living entities are controlled by him. These living entities are his superior energies because the quality of their existence is one and the same with the Supreme, but they are never equal to the Lord in quantity of power. While exploiting the gross and subtle inferior energy matter, the superior energy, the living entity, forgets his real spiritual mind and intelligence. This forgetfulness is due to the influence of matter upon the living entity. But when the living entity becomes free from the influence of illusionary material energy, he attains a stage called mukti or liberation. The false ego, under the influence of material illusion, thinks, I am matter and material acquisitions are mine. His actual position is realized when he is liberated from all material ideas, including the conception of his becoming one in all respects with God. Therefore, one may conclude that the Gita confirms the living entity to be only one of the multiple energies of Krishna. And when this energy is freed from material contamination, it becomes fully Krishna conscious or liberated. Haribol, thank you, Mataji, pranams.
Oh, sorry. Hare Krishna. Sorry, there's some work going on in our, the next floor. There's a lot of kurr sound that was going on. That's why I muted myself. So it's saying, Mamevamsho jiva loke jiva bhuta sanatanaha manashasthani indriyani prakriti sthani karshati. That means we are all amshas of the Lord, right? At no point in time we can become equal to the Lord. A part of the Lord always remains a part and never can become the whole, right? So, Prabhupada gives a very beautiful example, right? The parts of the body, right? They all have to serve the body. And in serving the body, there is bliss for every part of the body. But if every part of the body try to enjoy, then it becomes, a difficult situation that no part of the body, including, the body itself, it's all of them suffer, right? For example, the other day we were talking about, gulab jamun, right? Being held in the hand or held in the tongue, but it is not, we don't allow it to flow down to the stomach. And what happens? The stomach is also not satisfied. The parts of the body is also not satisfied. The entire body suffers because of that, isn't it? So in that way, when we try to become the Lord of all that we survey, then it becomes an unnatural condition for us. Because of that, we suffer, right? But when we are situated in our natural disposition of Jivera Swarupa Krishna Nitya Das, we understand that our constitutional position as a servant of the Lord. Nityo Nityanam Chetanas Chetananam Eko Bahunam Yo Vidadati Kaman. We are also eternal, like the Supreme Personality of Godhead, which is perfectly correct. That's why Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is told, Achintya Abeda Veda Tattva. We are equal to the Lord in terms of quality, in terms of the attributes. Yes, we are equal to the Lord. We are eternal. We are Sat Chit and Ananda, but we are minuscule versions of that Sat Chit and Ananda, whereas the Lord is infinitely Sat Chit and Ananda. And as long as the living entity who is Sat Chit and Ananda, minuscule version, engages in the service of that infinitely powerful Sat Chit Ananda Lord, Ishvara Paramakrishna Sat Chit Ananda Vigraha, then we actually make our paths towards eternal happiness, right? When the energy serves the energetic, then there is a natural condition because both are happy. But when we are as energies of the Lord, don't serve the Lord, but try to enjoy ourselves, then it becomes an unnatural state. Because of being in an unnatural state, just like a fish, as long as it's in the water, it is happy. But if you give the comforts of an AC room to a fish, but you keep it in land, how much can the fish can enjoy? The fish will die, isn't it? Similarly, when we are in our constitutional position as a servant of the Supreme Lord, we will be happy in any condition, whether we have comforts, whether we have richness, whether we have Mercedes-Benz car, whether we have a 4 BHK, we can be happy in the service of the Lord. But if you are not serving the Lord, but we are serving, Prabhupada says, if you don't serve Lord, if you don't serve God, you serve dog, right? We run behind the dog and then we think, I have so much money to purchase the dog. The dog is so expensive. It is not easy to buy a pet. To buy a rabbit or a dog is quite expensive. And then you think, I have so much of money, let me buy a dog. And then you run behind the dog. And Prabhupada says in the lecture, you carry especially abroad, what you have to run behind the dog will pass the stool. You pick up the stool of the dog and then run behind the dog. And then we don't know who's the master and who's the servant. Because the dog stops wherever it wants, the dog passes stool. And what does the man do? The man runs behind you, holding the rope. And he serves the dog, isn't it? What a deplorable state of condition. And he thinks, I'm so happy. I have the money to buy the dog and I have the time to run behind the dog. I'm serving the dog. I'm so happy, right? So much deplorable condition of Kali Yuga. This is what we consider our happiness. We don't have time to serve God. We have all the time in the world, our endeavor and time and money and resources to spend on the dog. And we think we are happy and the dog also dies and then we feel sad. Oh my God, my dog went away. Isn't it? So it's such a deplorable condition that we are in. So the study of Bhagavad Gita enables us to prioritize our life. What is important in our life? right? It's all about priority. All of us have only 24 hours. Nobody has extra time. But how we are utilizing the 24 hours? Is it helping us to evolve, to become better human beings, to achieve the purpose of this human form of life? That is what we need to contemplate. If we have the priorities in place, then the 24 hours is more than enough for us to practice devotional service and grow in our Krishna consciousness. So with this, we will end our today's session. Jagat Guru Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Granth Srimad Bhagavad Gita ki jai, Ananta Koti Vaishnava Vrinda ki jai, Nitai Gaura Premanande, Hari Hari Bol. Vancha Kalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhya evacha, Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha, Ananta Koti Vaishnava Vrinda ki jai, Jagat Guru Srila Prabhupada Srila Gurudeva ki jai. Hare Krishna. So devotees can unmute themselves. Okay, so importantly, tomorrow 19th, if devotees have any queries or questions, we can take that. But before that, tomorrow is 19th. Like I said, it's my Guru Maharaj Vyasa Puja. So tomorrow morning, I'll be going to the Juhu temple. So I'm not very sure. I think the program is until 2 o'clock. And then we serve the devotees and guests. And then by the time we come back home, I think it should be about 4 o'clock. So I was wanting to ask, let's have a show of hands. Tomorrow, I think we are starting with, we're continuing chapter 7 of the teachings of Lord Chaitanya. And we are doing chapter 10, important verses of the Bhagavad Gita. And then we will also do one round of congregational chanting of Hare Krishna Mahamantra and end with Harinam Sankirtan. So for this, we need 1.5 hours. So I was just wanting to ask all of you, should we do it from 5 to 6:30 or 6 to 7:30? Okay, let's see a show of hands for 6 to 7:30 p.m. Indian Standard Time. 6 to 7:30 p.m.
Hare Krishna
Yes.
Mataji, Dandavat Pranam. In Chennai, we have got the election so in the morning. So we are going to do the Guru Puja in the evening only.
Oh.
So it will take up to 8:30, 9 o'clock. Sorry.
Okay.
Sorry.
Okay, fine. No problem, Mataji. You catch up on YouTube. Then what can we do? Because here, by the time we come back home, it will be 3 o'clock. And then your program will start like that. Okay, there's Chennai.
I'm just informing.
Sure, Mataji. Yeah, please do catch up on YouTube. So the rest of the people who are not based out of Chennai, so let's see. 6 to 7:30 is fine. Okay, I can see Rohini Mataji, Deval Mataji. I'm leaving for KL. All right, no problem. Okay, so devotees who cannot join. Okay, I can see. Sridhar Prabhu, Vishabhanu Kanya Mataji, Karpagavali Mataji. Okay, maximum votes for 6 to 7:30 p.m. Anjana Mataji is also saying okay.
5 to 6. 5 to 6. From 5 o'clock.
5 to 6. So we'll need 1.5 hours. So okay, let's see maximum votes. Okay.
Saturday, can we do the same time on Saturday?
No, tomorrow is Ekadashi, na? So we want to do it tomorrow. Saturday, if possible, we will have another session. But generally we're doing from Monday to Friday, and we want to do it on the day also. The day also really matters, because it is the day of Ekadashi, and it also the 75th Vyasa Puja ceremony of Guru Maharaj. So we want to do it tomorrow only. So let's do it. Let's do it from 6 to 7:30. Is that okay?
Yes.
Because I'm not very sure. Moshme Mataji, you try 6 to 7:30 is okay, because I can see maximum votes for that time. Is it okay?
Okay, I'll try. I'll sit. Yeah.
Okay. Hare Krishna. So we meet at 6 to 7:30 p.m. tomorrow, Indian Standard Time, as we go ahead with our Bhagavad Gita, teachings of Lord Chaitanya, Harinam Sankirtan, and congregational chanting of one round of Hare Krishna Mahamantra. We will dedicate it for the good health and long life of Srila Jayapataka Swami, Srila Guru Maharaj. Hare Krishna. Thank you very much for joining in. We'll all...
Mataji, one course you have put in the group, na Mataji. What is that? Bhakti?
Okay, we'll discuss that. No, as of now, no details are known. Please join that group and you will get all the details in the group itself, right? Right now, even I don't know anything about that, right? So we will just join the group and then wait for instructions. Yeah. So quickly we'll do 2 minutes Harinam Sankirtan, and then we will see who are all the devotees who are there. And if devotees have any queries, you can raise your hands. I believe the hands that are raised are for timing 6 to 7:30 p.m. So if devotees have any queries, you can still raise your hands. Otherwise, you can pull down your hands. Namah Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prestaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swamini Namine Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvisesha Shunyavadi Paschatyadeeshatarine Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabho Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Srivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Srivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Jaya Gaura Nitai Jagannatha Baladeva Jaya Subhadra Jaya Sudarshana Jaya Balagopal Jaya Goswami Jaya Guru Parampara Jaya Jaya Prabhupada Gurudev Nitai Gaura Haribol Haribol Nitai Gaura Haribol Hari Nama Sankirtan ki jai Jagat Guru Srila Prabhupada Srila Gurudev ki jai Ananta Koti Vaishnava Vrinda ki jai Samved Bhakti Vrinda ki jai All glories to the assembled devotees Hare Krishna All glories to the assembled devotees Hare Krishna All glories to the assembled devotees Hare Krishna All glories All glories to Shri Guru and Shri Gauranga Srila Prabhupada ki jai Hare Krishna. So I can see Sridhar Prabhu, Maushmi Mataji, Karpagalli Mataji, Sindhu Mataji, Shobha Mataji, Rohini Mataji, Rishabhanu Kanya Mataji, Sneha Prabha Mataji, Sarva Gopeshri Mataji, Manasi Mataji, Rajneesh Prabhu. Thank you all for joining in. Jagat Guru Srila Prabhupada Srila Gurudev ki Jai, Nitai, God Premanande, Hari Hari Bol. So tomorrow morning we meet at 5 a.m. as usual for our Brahma Murta chanting session. But then we meet at, instead of 12:30, we meet at 6 p.m. Indian Standard Time. We request devotees to join in the evening tomorrow as we celebrate Ekadashi in the Association of Devotees with the pleasure of Guru and Gauranga. Jagat Guru Srila Prabhupada ki Jai.